In the last lesson, we were speaking about the importance of reason. Reason is so important that it is the foundation of our faith. It is the only proof we have that our faith is reasonable and not unreasonable. The greatest enemy of the Catholic religion is superstition. Today we are surrounded with many superstitious beliefs. But when I say superstition, I don't mean so much not crossing the path of a black cat or walking under a ladder. Superstition is defined as believing too fast and believing too much. Well, that's the reason why they believe that walking under the ladder is bad or crossing the path of a black cat is bad. They easily believe it, and they believe too much. In the Catholic religion, we have to avoid all superstition in that we must not easily believe unless it is proven to us that it is reasonable. And we should believe only what is reasonable and not too much, something beyond reason. Now, let me give you an example of the reasonableness of our reason. It is reasonable. That's why we can trust and believe our reasoning. For instance, if you ask me what I did yesterday, I can tell you, I can recall and tell you what I did yesterday. And I believe I'm right when I tell you what I did yesterday. If you come to me and insist that I was sleeping the whole day, I will not believe you. I would rather believe my own reasoning. And my own reasoning is more reliable than what you said. And so in religion, it is the same. We must believe more our reasoning than what other people say. If you're seeking the truth, it is better for you to sit down and think rather than to listen to somebody speaking. It is because everybody wants the easier way and just listen to a speaker that most people are led astray. Let me give you another example. Let's say you're standing up there and the sun is at my back and I see a shadow in front of you. Now, seeing that shadow, I'm certain and I can trust my reason that the sun is there at my back. And the probability that I'm right is very, very great. And so you see, you can trust reason to lead you to the truth. Now, when you think about these things, you will also notice that, well, once in a while your reason commits a mistake, or sometimes your memory goes wrong. You usually forget the birthday of your husband, wife, or children, meaning to say your memory is failing. But even if your memory and reason fail once in a while, we still trust our reason and memory more, and always they are trustworthy. This, therefore, is the greatest proof that reason can be trusted more than anything else in this world. Now, reason is the first step. There is the belief in God and Christ and His commandments. Let us go back to the commandments of Christ. Before, in one of the past lessons, we showed you that obedience to all the commandments of Christ, to all, not to a few, is the singular proof that you have faith. It is a tangible proof that you have faith. So for instance, somebody approaches you and you help this needy person, I would suspect you have faith. But one good act, or 5 or 10, is not enough proof that you have faith. The proof that you truly have faith that leads to salvation is that you obey all the commandments of Christ. Now, since obedience to all the commandments of Christ is the singular proof, external, tangible, that you have faith, on the other hand, disobedience, even just to one of the commandments of Christ, is proof, tangible, sufficient proof that you do not have the faith that saves. And so you see, knowledge of the commandments of Christ will make you discover whether you have faith or not. Now, if you do not know the commandments of Christ and how it should be done, you have no way of finding out whether you have faith or not. And so for us, the first process is, of course, to reason correctly, but then to study the commands of Christ, all of them, and how to do them. It's the only assignment Christ gave to His church, the only assignment Christ gave to bishops, priests, and all Catholic laymen, to go to all nations, to preach the good news, to baptize, but to teach them all, not half, all the commandments of Christ and how to do them. This is the only role of the Catholic Church. She should not be doing anything else except this. But the problem today is most of us, most of the men of the church do not know even half of the commandments of Christ. Some of them do not even have an idea that there is such thing as commandments of Christ. So how can you find out whether you have faith or not? And everybody seems to assume that they have the faith, that they have the Catholic faith. And so these lessons are meant to be guides for you in order to examine your conscience so that you can find out what are those commands and how to do them and whether you have the faith that saves. We have to do that. It is important for our own sake. We mentioned before that this journey that we take using reason to reach the right concept of God and the right concept of Christ and eventually to learn His commandments correctly have so many obstacles and impediments. In fact, 3 of them. The first is to be illogical in your thinking. The second is to be emotional. And thirdly, when you don't think. All these 3 are present in this our era, and that's the reason why we do not feel the presence of God among us. Let us briefly go to the impediment called people do not think anymore, where it all started during the time of Martin Luther when he defected from the Catholic Church. He began to distrust reason and began to become emotional. It was also started by Count Zinzendorf, who also emphasized the importance of emotions rather than thinking or reasoning. Now, the moment you become emotional, you cease to think. And so from that time on, people were no longer thinking. And the men of the Catholic Church were no longer thinking. And from that time on, 15th century, 1500s, up to the present, people have not been thinking, and these are people within the Catholic Church. That's the reason why the Catholic Church simply went down and down and down. Today, the Catholic Church is not a very attractive religion to join. We have lost our dogmas, our teachings of Christ, and so it does not attract the spiritual. The other religions are very emotional and is more attractive to people. That's why you see the difference between the worship of the Catholics and our separated Christian brethren. Their services are full of emotion and singing and dancing and jumping and crying, while the worship of the Catholic Church is pure intellectual, the sacrifice of the Mass, quiet, just the intellect working from the beginning to the end. The difference is very obvious. In our next lesson, we're going to prove to you that people from the 1500s have stopped thinking. It got worse around the 1800s, and up to now, every effort to make the members of the Catholic Church think had been failures. We shall see the origin, the cause, and some remedies we can do so that at least each one of us can remove ourselves from this vast group of Catholics that is plunging towards distraction because they are illogical, emotional, and they refuse to think. May the divine assistance always be with you.